Welcome back to Talkin Joes for episode number two of the season. Alongside Eli Halverson for episode two, we've got really a co-host now that we've added on to the Talkin Joes segments and the podcast. So I'll let Eli take the floor from here and introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Gavin. My name's Eli. I go to Wittenberg University. I'm going to be a senior there. For the Joes, I'm a journalist, so I write all the game recaps, all the stories in the press box during the game. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Talk some Joes baseball.
Yeah, yes, sir. And if you are new to the podcast, I'm Gavin Stark, the other co-host on the show. Go to Miami University and just finished up my freshman year and excited to be here. I'm on the broadcast team and then also doing this podcast stuff for you. So let's get things underway and talk some Joes since podcast is Talking Joes here. Uh, I'm gonna go over the Joes as they enter this upcoming week. They're now 8-7, second in the South Division, 5-5 in the last 10 games. Now, one of those things where they're 8-7, but it's been off and on with how they've been playing. It's been hot streaks. They just came off of a three-game sweep over one of the best teams in the entire league, the Lima Locos, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they go off a sweep there, and then they take a tough series loss to the Flag City Sluggers, who arguably probably should have been beaten by the Joes in most people's opinion, I would say. But that Flag City team's super hot, and we'll also talk about that series as we move on in the podcast. But like I said, second in the South Division with how they've been playing, Eli. I mean, I think you got to kind of take that and really run with it as you move on into the season. What do you think?
Yeah, so I feel like it's just kind of been a weird start to the year. Like you're coming off a championship, you're looking to repeat, obviously super high expectations, and it's just kind of been like hanging in there, like hanging steady, 8-7, like you said, swept the Locos. I mean, after the Locos sweep, you were kind of thinking like this team was going to take off, had the potential to really get going, but it's kind of back to the same story. I mean, 8-7, it's not really the end of the world. Obviously, it's a long season, but even in kind of where the league's at right now, and you look at the standings, it's like 9-6, 8-6, 7-7. Like I feel like everybody's kind of in the same spot. Everyone's kind of hovering right around 500. It's kind of everyone's kind of getting their feet wet as the season's starting. So I feel like there's still a lot of baseball to be played, a lot of improvement to be made, but definitely I don't want to say fall short of expectation, but definitely might not have been the start that everybody has kind of looked for. But still a lot of ball left to be played this year.
I
So
couldn't agree with you more. I
wouldn't be
mean,
worried.
you're 8-7, and like you're saying, you're still in a really good position overall in league standings. I mean, with this the team that we think can really get hot. I personally at least think that, and I thought that was going to be after this Lima series this week, and then they ended up dropping the series to Flag City, which I had circled as them taking this series pretty easily prior to this week, and then they sweep Lima, and I'm thinking to myself after that Lima sweep earlier this week, can this team win 6 games in 6 days? Like
Right.
that was a
And
thought that
I also think like it's the way like in the Lima series, it was almost like none of those games were really even close either. I think one of them might have been within like 3 runs, but it was kind of domination. And then you get to the Flag City series and it just completely flips. So
yeah,
something's got to give eventually, I think, as the season goes on.
right. I couldn't agree with you more there. So we dig into first the Lima series, which we've already talked a lot about. Uh Joe's ended up sweeping in that series, and it really felt like that was going to be the turning point of this season, and they were going to end up just dominating this league and taking that Flag City series going on to the week with all that confidence that they had gained from taking on the best team at the time, Lima. They're probably the hottest team in the Great Lakes Summer Collegiate League. You take them on, you sweep them, and really dominant fashion, like you just said, Eli. So you're thinking maybe to yourself, this is a team that is going to get things clicking and be the best team in this league like they were last year and years prior. I mean, this is a Hamilton Joe's organization that usually dominates this league, and really no one's dominated so far in the entire league yet. So still a chance really for them to take that and run with it again this year. But in that Lima series, they played in that doubleheader. Uh, Also, to wrap up the series, they had already won the series earlier, and then we had a rain out and then they go into that doubleheader in Hamilton, which we were there in attendance for, and we saw some domination really in that day. Saw them take game two, and then it felt like they really sucked the life out of Lima for game three, and it was just another easy win for them in that end. So, you got anything really on that series, Eli?
Yeah, I think when you look at the games, I mean, game one, you come out, you got, I mean, 11-7, got a lot of runs across the board. And then game two, it wasn't even really like, I think it was more something we've kind of seen this entire season is the aggressiveness on the base pass. I think you saw in game two, they had 6 stolen bases just in one game. And it's kind of been something we've seen all year long for Hamilton. I believe we lead the league in stolen bases. I believe.
Yes.
I mean, it's pretty. I mean, basically, once someone gets on first base, they're going. Especially when you get guys like Coffee, like those are guys that are going to be going right away. And then you come out, yeah, game two. Game two, I think, was the one, or game two of the doubleheader, game three of the series. That's when you saw Dale Ellis come out and just absolutely shut down the Locos. And I think that's another key. Like, I think for the most part, obviously some hiccups here and there, but the lineup I think is pretty solid. It's just can you get guys like Dale Ellis, Dylan Thompson, Michael Bilo, like getting those guys to get good starts? I think that's kind of the key with this team. And you saw Dale Ellis come out in game three, absolute gem. I think he went, what, 6 innings?
Yeah.
Looks like
Six
six
innings.
innings, just one unearned run on 4 hits,
Yep.
which that's been another thing I'm sure we'll get into later in the show, the errors. But one unearned run, 4 hits, 5 strikeouts. And the only base runner that really got on was in the last inning on an error on a fly ball that should have been caught. Like, I mean, that series was just complete domination. I think that's definitely the high point of the season so far, I would think. And obviously, we weren't at game one, but 11 runs total. You had Miguel Correa with 4 RBIs, Jackson Wang, who's been one of the best players all year. He had a homer. Like, just trying to build off that series. I mean, that was pretty impressive, especially in game three, seeing Ellis pitch like that. And Carson Brower, that's another guy who's been
Two.
outstanding. I know he had kind of a rough, not a really a rough. We say it's a rough outing. His last outing out, his worst outing of the season. He still didn't even have an earned run. Like he's just been absolutely
He's
incredible this year.
unbelievable. He
Yeah, literally unhittable.
Yeah, he's untouchable as a reliever, and I think that could be a starter arm going on later into the season,
Mhm.
even in a big time game when it's playoffs on the line or something like that,
Right.
some type of thing. I don't think the coach, Aaron Brill, or pitching coach, should be worried about throwing in Carson Brower to start the game
Mhm.
because this is an experienced guy. He's coming in on the second year with the Hamilton Joes. He knows the organization. He knows how things are ran really here, and he's really became a veteran arm for this team and just one of those guys that if you're in a tough situation in a game, maybe one game entering the fourth inning and you need something to happen, put Carson Brower out there and let the offense work behind
Right.
him because he has been brilliant. But yeah, you talk about Brower, he played in game one of the doubleheader with the Locos and he pitched uh 2 2/3 of an inning and he was stellar once again in relief. So I think me and you looked at each other when Brower went out there and we got excited because we knew what was going to
Yeah.
happen. And I think he is the focal point, like the turning point of that series. You're sitting there winning the first game in Lima, rained out the next day, and then you're playing this doubleheader. You knew game two you should win and solidify the series win right there and then go for the sweep later that night. And Carson Brower really did that and shutting down the Locos in game two for the 3 innings that he pitched. So I thought
Well, and I
his,
almost wonder too. We saw this. We saw this. You talk about him maybe coming out as a starter. We saw this in game one against Flag City. They came out with a bullpen game where they threw, I think their starter threw 3 innings. Everyone else was just
yep,
one. I almost wonder if you have Carson Brower start the game, throw 3 or 4 innings, and then just throw the rest of the bullpen out there. Throw Justin Hovel out there, Matty
yeah.
Helms. Maybe get those guys in there. I think that could be a very valuable option, especially when you get into the postseason in July. Because I think some of your best pitchers, obviously Michael Bilo has been one of the best guys, but he can't pitch every night. And I think on maybe in like a game two of a series, you get Bilo for game one, or maybe even Dean Brown too, and then from there you get Brower, Hovel, Helms. That'd be, I mean, that's tough when you're the opposing team looking across trying to hit that. That would be tough.
So we'll wrap it up on the Lima series, but I do want to talk about Mark Yozo. It'd be kind of brutal to not talk about him when you talk about this Lima series. Mark Yozo played in game two of this series, first game of the doubleheader, and he was the clear standout player. He earned player of the game honors from the broadcasting team. He went 2 for 3 with 2 RBI singles, coming up and delivering in huge spots for the Joes the entire game, really. And he was a clear standout player alongside Christopher Roja, who also was 2 for 3 on the day as well that game. So those two Miami guys really played really well. And Iozo's been off and on at the bat with the bat in his hands, but he's been super shut down in the outfield throughout the entire season so far. And I think his bat's gonna continue to get hotter and harder, hotter and hotter, and get better and better. So yeah, this is
I
a
would agree. And you talk about Christopher Raw. Talk about someone. I mean, the last 7 days, he's 6 for 13. He's got a double. He's got a triple. 6 walks. I mean, he's someone I feel like got off to a really slow start. He was had a really nice year. You would know better than I do. He had a really nice year at Miami, though. Am I wrong? Like he had a really nice year with the Red Hawks. Kind of got off to a slow start in Hamilton, but someone like him getting the back going. You talk about Yozo. He's again kind of been up and down. He did have a big series against Lima, though. Like two more big bats, especially if Christopher Roja can get going. That could be the really key. Someone at the top of the lineup you throw up there with maybe DiCello too. Like that's definitely key for Hamilton.
Joes get the sweep against Lima. Things are feeling really good, and they head into Flag City. And I called that first game in Flag City. It was a bullpen game, like you were just saying, for Flag City, and it was just unbelievable what they did to our Hamilton Joe batters. They shut them down from start to finish. Hamilton was put out of this game quickly. So in game one, really, Flag City dominates, and they get their first home win of the entire season and in the
Oh
entire
wow.
organization's uh, establishment. And it's their first year, the Sluggers, as a baseball organization, and they got their first home win. The crowd was definitely into the entire game, but they shut down Hamilton from the first inning to the last in dominant fashion and won that game 7-2. So it was a bullpen get game. So really, all you have to talk about there is pitching overall.
Yeah.
I mean, Flag City's pitching dominates. There's not much more to say. But Michael Bilo came and started that game for the Joes, and in a series or in a season where he's been this clear ace for the Joes as a starter, probably his worst game of the season so far, worst start. But I mean, to be honest, he didn't have much support from the bats on the Joes either. But I mean, yeah, he played and went 3 innings, I believe, and then Brendan Mullen came in on relief, and he honestly had a pretty strong performance, but it just wasn't enough overall, and the Joes ended up not being able to stay in this one, and they lost 7-2, and we would go to Hamilton, or excuse me, they'd go
Yeah.
back to Flag City on Saturday and play the Sluggers again, and it was an opposite game of what it was the night before.
And I will say it was like obviously you were at the games. I don't travel with the team, but if I was looking at the box score and I was like, am I reading this right? Like they threw six different pitchers. I've never even seen that at this level, and it's definitely cool to see. I mean, Bilo. It is kind of crazy though. Like when you say like Bilo, you're like, oh, it's his worst start of the year. He only gave up what one unearned run or
Yeah,
3 runs total. One of them unearned, 2 hits. Like
exactly.
definitely been the clear ace and just. I mean, I can imagine like it's got to be tough when you're facing that many different pitchers. Like one inning and then it's a new guy. One inning, it's a new guy. It's definitely
It
tough and just couldn't
was
get the bats going. I think it was 3 hits total in the game. That's just tough. But it was nice to see the next game you come out after one of your worst offensive games of the season. Then you come out in game two and have 17 runs on 17 hits. That
Yeah, it's
was definitely
complete
good to see
opposite
the bounce
game.
back.
I think
Right.
that
Right.
explains the Joes in total
Yeah.
so far in the season. I
Yeah.
mean,
Pretty
they can go
much.
one game scoring no runs or just 2 runs like they did in Flag City on Friday night, and then Saturday night they can back that up with 17 runs and almost they should have arguably ended this game in 7 innings, but Flag City ended up getting 2 runs late with 2 outs in the seventh to play another 2 innings and make this one go 9. So
Yeah,
really a
I know you
dominant
were pretty upset about that one while you were calling it.
yeah,
You're like, "Come on,
really
where's
a
the run rule?"
dominant game from the Joes. Um, but yeah, they got things rolling from early with the offense. And when the bats are going for the Joes, I think this is an unbeatable team, really.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, when you have just the amount of arms, I feel like some of the teams that we look at, like the Michigan Monarchs, I know is an example. Like when you look at some of the other teams, it's like we have so many more arms with Hamilton than they do. It's like if the offense can produce, this team's like almost unbeatable. Like,
I
I mean,
agree.
obviously, if you're scoring 17 runs a game, but it's not even really about that. If you're just consistently hitting, getting guys on base, scoring, with getting your runners in when they're in scoring position, and that was a problem
It's a big
last
one right
night.
there.
Big one right there. Like it's when these guys are coming through with runners in scoring position and hitting, like it's just how do you even beat these guys with the arms that they have? It's
I
tough.
mean, one of the most talented teams in the league, in my opinion, the most talented team in the league is the Joes, and I think that's going to be the main reason why this team ends up winning this championship again this year. That's my hot take right now. Is
I
the
would
Joes are
agree.
sitting at 8-7, and right now we're 15 games in the season, 5 series in, and I'm still taking the Joes after what I've seen. I'm taking them as the best team in this league by the end of July.
Well, and I would even say too, on top of that, I feel like we would both agree, and probably the Joes coaches would agree too, that we haven't even really seen the Joes play their best baseball consistently yet. And we're still what half a game back from first place in the South. Like it's kind of even scary to think about like what's going to happen when you put it all together for more than just a series, for a week or 2 weeks or even a month. Like what's it going to look like when it's all coming together for this team?
Talk about game three, the rubber match in Hamilton. Had things ready to go. It was 7:05 first pitch on a Sunday night. I mean, things were written in the stars for the Joes to really take this series and an exciting atmosphere in Hamilton. And, you know, they were thrilled to get this into the rubber match right after Friday's tough loss, and then they dominate Saturday. So you feel like the Joes using that momentum from Saturday could have gotten this one done. That was kind of my thought going in, but really just Sluggers got off to a 2-0 lead and they kind of hung around with that lead the entire game. It was just felt like the Joes were kind of clawing their way back slowly every inning, really. Ended up getting the game to a 7-6 ball game late, and Joes had a chance to walk it off in the ninth and just couldn't get it done. That's really the
Yeah,
story of this one.
it really did feel like that. Like once they got out to that 2-0 lead, it was almost like after that the rest of the game. Usually the Joes are the one getting out to the 2-0 lead. Like feel like the whole season it's been like first inning runs every game. Once they got out to 2-0, it was just the rest of the game couldn't do it. And I think in the ninth inning, it was almost kind of symbolic how you get runners on, I think it was first and second, 3-2 count, runners are going, you got a runner in scoring position, you couldn't get him home. It was kind of the story of the whole night. You get 6 runs across, but I think it was either the bottom of the first or bottom of the second. You had bases loaded, nobody out, hit into a double play because it looked like there was miscommunication. The runner on third wasn't going on a ground ball to first. Could have at least gotten one in there. You don't get any. I think you had runners on second and third with no outs. You only get one across there. And then in the ninth, again, pretty golden opportunity. All you can really ask for, get a couple runners on with 2 outs and just couldn't get it done. And that's kind of been the story, I think. Like, and especially just in close games in general. I was looking at the schedule before this, and there's been 3 games. If you count the tiebreaker with the Monarchs, 3 games within one score, and we're 0-3 in those one score games. And you have to think that's pretty crucial. And runners in scoring position, obviously, a big factor with that. And yeah, I mean, good
Like the
pitching down the
Reds.
stretch. Matty Helms did a good job in his outing, and just couldn't quite get it done.
Yep. Um, see. So Joe's dropped the series. Excuse me, sorry, I got sidetracked right there. Joe's dropped the series. Lose a tough one to Flag City, one that I had circled as a needed win for a series, really. But honestly, you drop that series and you're still half game back in the South
Right.
Division. I mean, you're gonna run away with that. Be happy. But they're gonna Joe's are gonna travel to Michigan, up in Muskegon, about a 6-hour road trip for them. They're gonna be up there for 2 nights this week. I think they leave tomorrow morning. In a Muskegon team that is looking to take a series from the Joes, but Joes have other things in mind. So hoping next week when we talk about this series, we're talking about another sweep maybe to start off the week for the Joes. Um,
I would hope so. You look at Muskegon. We talked about earlier how like every team's just right about 500. Muskegon's kind of the exception. They're 5-10. And I think if you're the Joes, like I think you got to at least go 2-1 in this series. I think if you're losing the series to Muskegon, that really really hurts. You put you back at 500 or even below 500 if you get swept. I think this is a big series. I think to try and turn around, at least take 2 games. Three, I think, would be awesome. Really put Hamilton in a good position.
so It is easy though. You can easily get distracted. This is the first time this team's staying in a hotel, really
Mhm.
doing a road trip. It's easy to go up there and look at the record of Muskegon and go, okay, they're 5-10. Let's just have a fun little trip to Muskegon and
Right,
not really worry about some baseball. And then you drop 2 games or 3 games even, and it's easy to do that. So this team's got to show up there and really think of it as a business trip and then celebrate on the bus ride home
right.
because this is a season that is long, but it goes quick. And when you drop
That's,
series like this, you're going to be out of the playoff running really quickly in this league. So
yeah,
one that
not
I
not
think
162 games in the summer
no,
collegiate league. You don't have that much leeway.
right, 42 games, I believe. So gotta take this one and really get it with ease, like you should when
Right.
you look at records and stats. But yeah, then they'll take on Xenia during the weekend. They'll
Big series. That's a big series.
huge
They're
series.
half game on us right now. Half game in first.
This is the series everyone should have circled right now in the month of June. As we enter the end of the month, we're going to wrap it up with taking on the Scouts and super hot Scouts team that has a game and or half game on us right now. And hopefully at that point, the Joes maybe even have a half game or more on them after this Muskegon series. But you can't really think like that because it's easy to do that and then get ahead of yourself in this league. So that's the hope. You go into Xenia and you take a couple games there and you win 2 series this week. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, this is that Xenia series is big, especially 2 games on the road. I feel like just in general, the Joe's been playing on the road a lot, and
Yeah,
you almost have to think like survive in advance, get through the road games, try not lose too many of them, and then in July you turn around and you get a lot more of those series at home. Slugger series is at home. You get the Xenia series at home. Locos you get 2 more at home. Copperheads you get 2 more at home. Like just get to July, a couple games above 500, maybe staying in contention for the lead, and then hopefully in July that's when you can really put everything together, especially with all the advantages of playing at home, not having to travel. Because like you said, that is a real thing. It is a real thing when you're going on the road and playing a quote unquote bad team. Even though I'm not saying the Clippers are bad, they just have the worst record. It's easy to kind of get distracted and kind of unfocused in that environment.
for
But
sure.
if I think we're gonna get it done. I have a lot of belief. I think we're gonna get it done this weekend. Hopefully.
Couldn't agree more. But I think for the Xenia series, not to get ahead of myself here, but Xenia series, Friday night at home. I'm guessing Michael Bilo will be that starter for the
Hmm.
Xenia series on Friday night at home. Get things going for this team, and then you'll probably see Dale Ellis Saturday, if I had to guess,
Yeah.
or even Dean Brown. But I think you'll see
Dean
those
Brown,
three
I bet would
pitchers.
be one of the other ones. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, those are probably your 3 starters on the weekend. If I had to really guess right now, could be totally wrong, but
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking right now. But we'll talk about pitching now as we talk about that. So we've seen starters really get off to good starts for the most part. I
Hmm.
think you found your 3 best pitchers, and
Yeah.
Bilo. Actually, I guess it's really 4 in my mind because you got Bilo, Deeruff, Dean Brown, and then Dale Ellis looked brilliant in his last start in Hamilton. So those are your 4 best guys, probably starting wise, that we've seen so far. Not to knock any of the other starters or anything, but moving forward, I think
Yeah.
you can probably put those 4 as your best.
I would agree. I think those four have got to be the guys. And I think you're starting to see like kind of the designation of roles here. Like I think you've got, like you said, Bilo, Ellis, Deeruff, Dean Brown. Those guys are kind of the core starters. And I think you've kind of seen when you looked at the innings pitch, like who the top relievers are. Carson Brower, he's kind of like your number one middle reliever. He's got 11 innings, 0.77 ERA. I mean, not
Unreal.
only is he tied for
All
second, I
star.
think, on the team in innings, he's got to be. He's absolutely got to be. I think there's a few pitchers on the staff that have got to be in the All Star game at Prasco in a
100%.
month. But
And
and then you kind of see like I think Matty Helm, Justin Hovel. I think those are the two guys you're probably looking at as closers, kind of the
yes.
closer setup roles on this team, um, in terms of the bullpen.
And
But
then
I like how you're kind of seeing those roles. You're kind of finding it at least.
Brendan Mullen, another really good arm that
Brendan
you could
Mullen, yeah, how did I forget Mullen? Yeah, he pitched really well in the game we were at last night. Maybe his best outing of the year.
I think he's getting better and better. He started off a little rough, not being able to find the zone as much as he'd
Mhm.
like. and now he's found that zone. He's found his pitches, and he's clicking on all cylinders right now. He's in the transfer portal, so he's looking for a home, and he's gonna find a home if he
Yeah,
continues to play like he is right now. Because I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Brendan Mullen. I think he's one of those guys that can change a game really when he steps onto the mound.
I would
But yeah,
agree, and I think finding all those like more bullpen arms. I mean, there's nothing more that you would want to have than more solid quality bullpen arms. I think having that second guy with Brower, especially with Brower being a lefty, having another like really solid righty that you can go to if a starter's struggling in the third or fourth inning, I think that'd be really huge. And Mullen, I think his last couple start or not want to say starts, last couple outings have been. I think he's only gotten better throughout the year. His trajectory is only going up.
so overall pitching trending in the right direction after this week. We talked about it last week on the pod as well. Talked about how I thought that the pitching was getting better and better, and it's trending in the right direction. And I'll say that again this week. It's trending in the right
Yeah.
direction. Not at full strength yet, not exactly where you want it to be, but at the end of June, I mean, we'll take it really with how everything's going.
I think
Um,
you've seen too. The key thing has been the. I feel like the walks have gotten lower and lower. Like when the pitching was really bad at the beginning of the year, middle part of the year, like it was just giving people free passes. That's all it was. I think you've seen the walks get lower and lower, and I think as you've seen kind of the pitchers find their roles more, the guys that are getting more innings pitched are the guys that aren't putting people on base. And I think that's kind of the key that Brill has noticed that we've noticed. Putting people on base for free. I think that's the key factor, and the best pitchers are the guys that aren't doing that.
Finding the zone is
Yep.
what's been most important for this Joe's team. It's simple, but that's been the issue so far in the season. But it's getting better and better. So pitching trending in the right direction. Let's take it to the other side of baseball. Batting bats are seemingly getting hotter for the Joes as we continue on into the late weeks of June. But when you talk about getting a bat hot, Brett Denby, this guy's getting that thing
Oh yeah.
rolling. Really good weekend series with Flag City. I mean, he got things really rolling on Friday. He had hit two really hard balls in the first two at bats of that Friday game in Flag City that had been robbed by the outfield. Just amazing plays by the center fielder from Flag City. Can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he had two really brilliant catches from diving for Brett Denby's hard hit outfield balls, and then got to later in the game and he drilled a ball, got on base, and I think that was huge for his confidence moving forward into the series. And he ended up continuing the hot bat, and he's gotten his batting average all the way up to the 323, I believe now.
Could be another All Star right there. Could be
Yeah,
another one.
just committed to Wright State as well, so Uh, congrats to him, but he's been brilliant with the bat as of late. And then Aiden Coffey struggled with the bat a little bit again. He's kind of he struggled with the bat at the beginning of the season. Then we hit the midway point of the season. He had the hottest bat on the team, and then now we're at the late month of June and struggled a little bit with the bat. But then Sunday night, I feel like he got things going a little bit again
Mhm.
with his bat. So another thing trending in the right direction for him, and with the bat.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, if you talk about Demby, you look at Demby over the last 7 days, hitting 353, OPS is over 1,000. I know in game two of the Slugger series, he had a big triple, I think in the eighth inning to kind of break the game wide open. Like that's just another back because I think you've kind of got the guys that you know are kind of like the guy. Jackson Chris obviously is kind of this team's looks like kind of the best hitter on this team so far this year. Coffee, like we said earlier, he's been up there. Correa, I think Correa is really starting to heat up too. He had his first homer of the year the other
Yep,
night. Um,
huge
I
on
yeah,
Saturday.
and I think you're really starting to see these guys get going. DeCello, Jackson Wang is someone I think that's actually he's been really good this year. You look at his OPS over the last 7 days. He's only hitting, I think. Let's see, he's hitting 263 over the last 7 games, but the OBP is all the way up there at 375, slugging 421. Like we're definitely starting to see the guys start to hit, and I think seeing like we talked about earlier with Christopher Roja, he's starting to heat up over the last few days. Maybe getting that bottom of the order going, so it's not just 3, 4, 5 carrying the top of the order. That'd be really huge, and I think another key because like we talked about earlier, when the bats are going with this team, it's kind of almost unstoppable.
Absolutely. I'll go over the averages real quick on the season for the Joe's batters. We got Jackson Chris batting 423 in his 26 at bats. Alex Conrad in his 21 at bats, 333. Aiden Coffey in his 32 at bats, 313. Brett Denby in his 36 at bats, 306. Gio Melchione in his 27 at bats, 296, so just shy of 300. And then Mark Nowak, the speedster, with his 30 at bats, 267. And then Correa, we're talking about getting hotter with the bat as of late. In his 45 at bats, he's batting 267, so a ton of at bats for him, as well as Jackson Wang, who's got 46 at bats, batting 261. And then DeCello and his 32 at bats, 250. Yankovic, 22 at bats, 227. Roja, 37 at bats, 216. Mallet, 24 at bats, 208. Iozo, 35 at bats, 200. And then rounding out the bottom, uh, .87 with 23 at bats is Miller, and then .050 is Rutherford. So most of your guys are above 200, besides the bottom two right there, but they'll get things going. Not too worried about it overall. It's just baseball. They're in slumps right now, but everything will get rolling for these bats. Not too worried. But any final things to really wrap up the pod, Eli?
No, I think just kind of looking forward to seeing how the boys come out tomorrow night. I think this again the Clipper series. I mean, how big would it be if they just come out, go 3-0, get three big wins, and then come back home for what is going to be a pretty, I would think, good environment, big game on Friday night. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking
Yep,
forward to it, and I think this could be a really big turning point week at about what would be the halfway point of the season. If we could come out of this week with two series wins, I think that would be really, really huge. Put us in first place in the South Division and just have a lot of momentum going into the second half.
absolutely. I'll say that basically took the words out of my mouth there. I mean, these guys can take that Clippers series up in Michigan, have a good road trip there, come back, use that momentum to head into the biggest series of the season so far, and taking on Xenia. And they'll start it off at home on Friday, so fans make it out for a great environment that should be on Friday and get things rolling for the boys. And hopefully Saturday and Sunday can take some more wins, and maybe we'll see this team have an undefeated week for the first time of the season. But uh,
Pretty sweet.
that'll be the end of episode 2 of the podcast. Gavin Stark, uh, and for Eli Halverson, this has been a production of the Hamilton Joes and Talkin Joes podcast. So thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for the episode 3. Appreciate it.